reading my story, Chasing Rainbows. Chapter 14, A Plan of Action. Victoria was growing restless. During the past few months, Joseph had shown no interest in her whatsoever, and yet she was determined to woo him back. However, despite all her efforts to gain his attention and rekindle the spark in their marriage, he remained coolly indifferent, to say the least. Victoria could not for the life of her imagine why he was behaving in this way. His behaviour was so aloof, and she was finding the strain upon their relationship intolerable. Indeed, her distress was so great, she felt unable to function in the normal way. She felt numb inside, as if she were made of ice, and yet she wasn't. She was a healthy young woman with an urgent need of an expression of love from her husband. Just a simple gesture, such as a touch of his hand, would have sufficed, just to let her know he cared. As for Joseph, he had thrown himself into his work, often not returning home until the early hours, to fall into an exhausted sleep upon the elegant silk brocade sofa in his study. He was desperately trying to forget Jess and all that had passed between them, and yet she still came to him, even in his dreams. Somehow she was there to soothe and comfort him. Then he would awake in early morning light with the agonizing realization that she was gone from him forever. He was in torment, his soul cringing from the truth. Jess no longer needed him. He had ceased to exist in her heart. And who could blame her, he would reason. Oh, if only he had not listened to his father. Too late, he saw how Geoffrey had sought to manipulate, see him prosper by his marriage to the granddaughter of his business partner. And because of his injured pride, he had fallen for it, ignoring the sorrow in his heart. In giving up his search for Jess, he had sought to smother his true emotions, locking away his impassioned heart until it cried out for release. Indeed, the business was doing well, but as for him, he could only find joy in his little son, Francis. He cared about the business for his sake, for one day it would all belong to Francis. His heart and mind were in anguish for the sorrow he had caused Jess by his irresponsible behaviour. He had seen it in her eyes when they had met on the lawn that day, despite her icy response. He had caused her so much sorrow, so much emotional turmoil. And the little girl Louisa was indeed the daughter of his heart, his own flesh and blood. Oh, it was indeed a sorry state of affairs from which he could see no relief. It would have been better to have served his time behind bars in prison than suffer this torment of his soul from which there was no refuge. And Joseph would bury his head in his hands and weep for all his bleak tomorrows, for all the love he had so callously discarded. Of course, circumstances could not be changed. It was all too late for that. Yet, through all this anguish, Joseph kept her in his heart, clung on to Jess's memory, which he cherished deep within. If only he had not been such a fool. He knew he was behaving like a monster towards Victoria, and yet he could not bring himself to touch her. It was a sad situation from which he saw no escape, or so it seemed. Until one morning, Joseph received a letter from his father. Tearing it open impatiently, his eyes scanned the page. there was trouble at the factory in Dartington. The man whom his father had trusted to manage the place had let him down badly. As Joseph read on, he realized how concerned his father was. Things were getting out of control, the business showing little profit. Suddenly Joseph knew what must be done. He would go to his father and have this thing out, once and for all. All these years he had been a fool, allowing Geoffrey to manipulate him. He had suspected foul play for some time. Now he was almost certain his father had played a significant part in separating him from Jess. But he had to know the truth. Joseph crumpled the letter in his hand. Rushing upstairs, he lost no time in throwing a few clothes into a travelling bag. If he hurried, he could just catch the 10 o'clock train from Liverpool station. Almost 7 days had passed since Kathleen and Gerald had wed. They were still on their honeymoon in Ireland. Gerald had got special permission from the captain of his ship to take some extra time off. When he returned with his new wife, he planned to take her home to America. The sad part would be in pleasing Sarah, Albert, and his newfound family, Jess and dear little Louisa. Kathleen could see this was vexing him and thought to cheer him. "But once we get settled, they can surely come out to visit," she had suggested, with a twinkle in her eye. Gerald had caught her in his arms and waltzed her around the room. "Haven't I the most wonderful wife in all the world? Are you sure you can bear to share me, though?" he teased. "Oh, you are a wicked man, Gerald O'Connor," she blushed, as his mouth played hers in a passionate kiss. Meanwhile, at home in Devon, Jess was gradually coming to terms with discovering she had parents. It had greatly astonished her at first, and try as she might, she found it difficult to accept. Yet as the weeks progressed, she began to look forward to their return and planned a welcome home meal. As for little Louisa, well, she could hardly wait to see them again. She was that excited. Sarah was glad in her heart for having such a loving family. She was happy for Kathleen and Gerald, for they were so right for each other. After all these years, they deserved to find happiness. She knew Albert was all right. He was a hard-working, dependable lad who had taken good care of her. Mind you, just recently she had heard him creeping in at rather a late hour. "Wouldn't mind betting he's courting the young rascal," she thought in amusement, as she hastily rescued a tray of pasties from the oven. The only one who concerned her was young Jess. Something was deeply troubling the girl, she felt sure of it. Sarah knew she was still coming to terms with her roots, and yet she felt it went far deeper than that. The girl appeared cheerful enough, yet Sarah sensed her unease, felt it in her bones. Something was just not right. Sarah put out the pasties to cool and went to make a brew of tea. Just then she heard a light tap on the cottage door. As she opened the door, she was swept into Gerald's arms. "Oh, lad, you near scared me out to death!" she chuckled as she embraced him. Kathleen came forward and gave her a hug and kissed her upon the cheek. "Oh, it's good to see you again, Sarah," she smiled fondly. "Well, don't stand outside. Come in and sit yourself down," Sarah grinned, as she ushered them into the small parlour. As they sat, sipping their tea, Gerald tactfully related of his imminent return to America. "So you do see, ma'am, we must make preparations to go," he concluded, watching her anxiously. Sarah patted his hand. I know, son. It's been grand having you home again, and I'm that proud to have such a lovely daughter-in-law. And you must go back to work, lad. I can see that. She smiled bravely, fighting to control her tears. Kathleen leaned in towards her and touched her hand. You must all come over for a visit, just as soon as we get settled, she said gently. Sarah talked nervously. Oh, don't know about that, Kathleen. I've never been further afield than Exeter in all my life, she declared. She would never admit it, but the thought of crossing a huge ocean filled her with dread. Just then, Albert arrived home from his work at the farm, and father and son became engrossed in conversation. Kathleen helped Sarah prepare the evening meal in the kitchen.